What is up, the Lions fans? It's your boy Motor City Don P. We are back here once again, and you already know what it is. It is Monday, and let me take these off and let me put them back on because it's Victory Monday, and we just put BTA to those Chicago Bears. We are on LNU because it's Monday. One thing is for certain, and three things are for sure when you see me in front of TV. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats, none of that static. And number three, perhaps the most important number of them all. We want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic, and we hopefully will be joined by a special guest today. So we'll cut out all the pleasantries and we'll get right down to the nitty gritty. What is up, though? Everybody in the chat. What up, though, Will Murray? What up, though, Just a Fan? What up, though, Lisa De Lorenzo? I started off the day. I wasn't having a great day today. Somebody's playing with my time. Somebody's playing with my time and cost me some money. Playing with my time and cost me some money. But you know what? I came here to talk about the Detroit Lions, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give y'all a show today. Right? Kurt Steele, what up, though? He says Lions rule, Bears drool. We are going to be joined right now by the incomparable, the one, the only. Some people would say the reason that Zadarius Smith is in Philadelphia. We got the Doc, John McElroy. Welcome to the show, my guy. What's going on?
It's good to talk to you. Yeah, I caused a lot of trouble covering the Detroit Lions. My goodness, not for the faint of heart to cover the Doc, John McElroy, right?
Hey, man, friend of the show. We appreciate you, man. Hey, listen, I don't blame you for Zadarius Smith going over there. Zadarius did what Zadarius did. I think Zadarius just felt some type of way. I think he felt disrespected because he didn't go to Philadelphia and get a whole lot of money, so. But that is what it is. How you been, Doc?
I've been good. Listen, 50 points makes everything better, right? Listen, NFL, we all know winning cures everything. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's an opportunity to really kick the Bears when they're down, and it just kind of washed the bad taste out of everybody's mouth from listen, the Packers game wasn't good, and you need that criticism. You need that to kind of look at the tape and say, wow, we didn't play anywhere near our capability. They knew it. It just showed. That's the difference. If John Morton runs the John Morton offense, that can happen. And that's all everybody wanted to see was, hey, week one, you didn't run the John Morton offense. We all saw it.
Right.
They got called out on it. They didn't like it. And by the 6th, 7th time they got called out on it, they probably were not thrilled. But you have to ask those kind of questions. You have to ask, why didn't you run the offense that could score 50 points? And when they were able to execute and play at home, if that's the capability. But you also have to remember, the Bears suck. And now there's reporters that are doing exposés, a 3-4 part series on why the Bears suck. But listen, kick them while they're down. That was my thesis going into the season in the training camp Lone Wolves podcast was, when it comes time to play the Bears, you whip their ass. And that's what they did.
Facts. Let me ask you a question, Doc. Are you a fan of the Detroit Lions?
I was a season ticket holder. Absolutely. So you look at it from this perspective. I am born in Detroit. I was born in Detroit, born in Warren, Michigan, and grew up on the east side in East Point, Michigan, 9 Mile and Gratiot area for those that know. And yeah, absolutely. 1986, my mom took me to the Tigers, fell in love with sports. The 86 World Cup with, I think, Argentina was absolutely amazing. That's where I fell in love with sports and competition. So I'm a Detroit guy. I have only watched and supported all Detroit teams, and I root for Michigan Wolverines to lose. So I was a season ticket holder. I was a season ticket holder in 2003, but back when the prices were reasonable, back when you could tailgate behind Little Caesars Arena, and it was very affordable and very fun. But in 4 or 5 years, I think I saw 4 or 5 wins. So I'm scarred. I'm a scarred person, but in the end, you can cover a team and share what's going on and still pick apart what's going on.
Mhm.
So, look, for those that say, well, why do you ask these kind of questions or why do you propose these kind of thoughts? It's with one goal in mind. One, okay? And I'm of the opinion that this football team is far behind the NFL curve in terms of never being in the Super Bowl. They owe the fans. They owe a lot. So they have to make up for what they owe. And second of all, I believe just based on my own personal standard. Like I don't sit here and besides sometimes praising myself, but I'm of the opinion that, hey, if you start something, you try to reach your absolute potential. And I did that. I started a podcast from a basement in a studio far worse than this in 2013. And I said, okay, once people started saying, try this, I made super high goals and I met them. So the goal for the Lions is to win the Super Bowl. That's it. I don't have to kiss their butt. There's a lot of people that do that for them. My thing is that I grew up and I always was gravitated toward excellence. And what was excellent? It was Bill Parcells and the
All the other teams.
49ers and the Cowboys and excellence. So why would you follow or do anything less than excellently? And then Bill Belichick and the way he treated Tom Brady, it wasn't like, if he went 19 of 20, when he came back and sat down in the film room, they were looking at that one throw that he missed and saying, hey, why did you miss that? That's how you become excellent. And I think the Detroit Lions should be viewed from that prism, which Dan Campbell finally said. He said, I understand all the hate. I understand all the noise. We're a team that people are watching because we're relevant. This is far better than when they were irrelevant and we were talking about the draft at this point when they were 0-2 and looking terrible. This is a football team that people should pick apart because this is a team that you could argue if they made two more moves could be right there in the top 3 conversation of being a Super Bowl caliber team. Right now, they're not in that conversation. They got holes. They got major holes. So I'm mad about that. And so I feel owed. And I'm always of the opinion you're first or you're last. That's it. First or last. And, just because I'm not the fan that kisses their butt. They have a lot of that. There's enough of that. I took it as if I had ever a chance to talk to the players, it would always be, if you gain 50 yards in a game, why didn't you gain 60? What happened so that you weren't excellent? And that's the way it is. And I'm lucky to be able to present myself the way I do, but it's not going to be nice sometimes. And sometimes it's going to be direct. And sometimes it's going to be asking questions that some fans want to know about. And I got lucky to be able to earn that spot in that room for the last 7 years.
This is big facts, John. I think the problem that we face, and we're so starved and so hungry for a winner. We're so starved and so hungry for success because in this franchise, we haven't seen too much of it. We've seen greatness. We've seen elite greatness with Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson, but those trophies that they have, those aren't called Lombardis. Those are called world championships. And I wasn't alive the last one they got. My father was 12. He's now 80. So this is the thing. And unfortunately, the only way forward for a lot of people is to go out and say, well, everything they do is great. Everything Brad Holmes does is great. And I think so people like you, people like Syndicate, people like myself, you get hate from, what do you call them, the Brad Gooners, the home slappies. Yes, Brad Holmes, and I tell people this all the time, Brad Holmes is not doing anything new. You know who did this before Brad Holmes? Martin Mayhew. And you know what happened with Martin Mayhew? He made 2 mistakes. Made 2 mistakes, and everyone hates him. The first mistake was that he let Sue walk out of the door, but the one that he made before that was he drafted Eric Ebron over Aaron Donald. Instead of having Aaron Donald play beside Ndamukong Suh, you had Eric Ebron.
Right.
And that was the end of Martin Mayhew, and no one looks at Martin Mayhew favorably. But again, Martin Mayhew was Brad Holmes before Brad Holmes. Now, if
Right.
Brad Holmes allows all of this stuff to happen and he doesn't get an edge rusher, look, we're going to talk about Marcus Davenport. Come on, bro. Like how long did we talk about him for the entire offseason? And he's hurt again already,
Right. And
seeking
so,
second opinions.
yeah, look, man, it's tough because if you look at it from the other side, we all know what the Lions fans wanted. They wanted a bigger investment in the player opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. That's a fact.
Mhm.
Everybody knows it. The Lions, unfortunately, are paying their own guys and they're sticking to a philosophy. It's just what do you believe? And then just also to your point about being a fan. Remember, I'm also now getting paid to do this. I'm
Yeah.
being paid to also remember that when you run a website, you're tasked with appealing to the fans, but
Hmm.
also appealing to those that have some criticisms. So we
Right.
have a wide range of varying opinions, from mine to Vito's to Christian's to Emmett. So we got four distinct different voices. Mine's the loudest because I have a
Hmm.
Twitter page that I spend a lot of time cracking jokes on.
Hmm.
But in the end, we are, I believe, fair. But from the perspective of winning and excellence and trying to get to the next level and questioning things. The problem is I seem to be look different and talk different because there are so many people that base their platform on a lot of support of the Lions. And I get that.
Hmm.
It's easy to do. You garner a lot of success pretty fast and a lot of attention. It's tough, but see, my situation was different in that back in 2019, I had grown an audience already. So I wasn't really looking to grow much more than what I had. Now,
Hmm.
there is a great partnership with On SI and it's grown a little bit, but I have a core audience that's loyal, rabid, that has kept the site going and thriving and the podcast growing and thriving. So I was of the opinion I'm just going to do and think whatever comes to my mind. And I don't know if it comes across as vastly different than other people. I'm just direct. I
Yeah.
don't have to worry. See, my situation is a little different because I'm in charge. I'm
Right.
fully in charge. So there's
Hmm.
nobody telling me you have to do this. There's nobody I answer to per se. So if it all went away tomorrow, I'm fine. I still have another audience that I can go back to with the podcast. On
Hmm.
SI is just the biggest partner I have, but I got many more. So
Hmm.
I want to talk about it from the perspective of I just feel like covering the Lions is one in which you talk about the good and
And the
the
bad.
not so good.
Hmm.
And I do think, to your point, it's absolutely right. The defensive end spot is one in which it was wild because Brad, I don't know if you ever understood the way in which I presented it to him. Sometimes there's a lot of noise when you're in these large groups, but I
Hmm.
said to him, Brad, to your credit, you've built a team that really only has maybe one or two holes,
Hmm.
maybe if that,
So fill them.
and that's the defensive end spot. The spot that people are looking at is like, we feel good at safety. We feel good at linebacker. Obviously, that was before Frank Ragnow retired. We feel good about your offensive line. We just don't feel good about your number two spot opposite of Aiden because the player you chose has just had a hard time staying on the field. And we've also seen Emmanuel Mosley not be successful when you invested in him. Levi Onwuzurike, player,
DJ
you
Chark.
just haven't had luck where no matter the draft spot or where it's been like, hey, if the players had injuries, they've just been re-injured in Detroit. So we're just calling back patterns to what we're seeing. And he's like, basically kind of had the attitude of I'm shocked you guys are asking me about this and acting like the question was not really valid. But in the end, he says that he trusts Aiden Hutchinson. He's got to pay him 45 or $50 million. And the problem is that, okay, fine, maybe you're not going to get a Trey Hendricks in there, but I think that most fans believe that you could maybe even get better than a Marcus Davenport or Al Quadin Muhammad to compete to win a Super Bowl. And that's why the fans of Detroit are super smart
Hmm.
because they don't tolerate the perception that you're not pushing all in when you're making a move. And the Lions are basically, I think, two or three impactful players away, one more offensive lineman, one or two more defensive ends, and maybe some depth in the secondary, two or three from being right there. But they've just kind of fallen just that short in the name of draft and develop. To me, I just have a different philosophy. I'm like, in 2023, you could have made a better move than Donovan Peoples-Jones
Yep.
At the trade deadline. Or now, heading into this year, you could have been a little bit more aggressive, push for this year and next year. If it doesn't blow up, you just say, guys, trust me, we're going to rebuild it. It's going to be lean for a couple of years. We're all with it. This is basically like a tease. You're teasing it. Like, this is a playoff team, but nobody that's reasonable, nobody really that's not really a true slappy believes right now that they're a Super Bowl caliber team when you look at the Bills and the Ravens and the Rams now that are playing really well and the Eagles. You're in that category. You're in that tier, but just looking outside. You're a top 4 or 5 team, but you need some help. I hope they get it. You need a little bit of help. You're just short because of the fact that you had your center retire, you got youth, and you had some turnover. But they're still a good football team. Even when they lost to the Packers, I didn't feel like my question was all that crazy that people got all mad about. It was basically just, hey, my question, in all honesty, for those that didn't know, was basically like, how come you didn't run what you just ran against the Bears against the Packers? That's it. It's a simple question. He could have said, hey, man, we just fell short. He could have said, no, there's no replicating it. There's going to be some differences just because they're differences. He could have cut that off, but he got hung up on communication, and maybe it's the 9th time he heard that variation of that question. I don't know why he kind of poo-pooed the pre-snap motion stuff. It was just different. That's all. The whole world saw it, and I just didn't think he'd ever think maybe in week 1 somebody would talk about it that directly. Well, guess what? Now it's going to happen. The fan base is hungry. You're a Super Bowl caliber team. And now the best part about NFL football is you can talk about winning, and then you can talk about winning in style points, which is great. Like, hey, if you got a caliber team that can drop 50 on people, why not drop 30, 40 every week? It's not feasible, but we can always ask those kind of questions. And I was always of the opinion, Don, that if I walked into a media room and everybody was happy to see me, that something was wrong. Like, you have to ask some tough questions sometimes. You have to ask why some things are not going well when you have a loss, or you have a player that's not maybe meeting expectations, or you have, a quarterback that people really respect in Jared Goff, but, you wonder a little bit about, can he take his game to the next level? So I asked those questions. I'm not limited by needing favor. I'm free because I don't need favor. I don't need approval. I'm actually genuinely curious about the stuff I ask. And for the most part, a lot of stuff I write about that I ask about, people read, and I'm very happy. For me, the proof's in the pudding. I've stuck around. It's one thing to get a job. It's another thing to keep it. And so for the Detroit Lions, you got to keep challenging them. Even when they win the first Super Bowl, we'll all celebrate, but then it's on to number 2 and 3 and be a dynasty and win, because winning is fun. I got that taste of winning for me was when Michigan State in 2000, they won the national championship. I was there at the campus. And so I got to watch that game against Florida. I got to feel that elation. I got to feel that partying for 8 hours straight with your peers. And then I got to feel that responsibility of still going to school the next morning with 3 other people. And the teacher was like, Jesus, you guys partied all night and showed up to class? I was like, yeah, we can party and show up to work. They're like, okay, just get out of here. You're not coming to class. There's nothing here. Go rest and enjoy the day. And so when you feel like you taste championships and you're close, and you feel let down when the team doesn't win it or isn't doing the things to bring millions of people happiness, they're getting closer. This regime has the closest chance, but they're making just a couple small moves that are difficult. And it's hard. It's not easy, but some of the moves I feel like are not as aggressive, and they've made some mistakes. Like, they obviously are going to correct it, where they're not going to take guys like Hendon Hooker and Giovanni Manu and Broderick Martin. Those are 3 picks that could be players that are helping right now. Oh, you don't have a Marcus? You got another defensive end. Oh, you don't have, you have a young guard. Maybe you got another one. Or you had a center that you could have taken that's more ready-made. So they make mistakes too. They're not perfect. It's a tough job, but this is Detroit. The standards are very, very high, and you give this fan base a taste, they want the whole pie, and that's great. That's why I love covering the team, because people are picking apart some guy who does a podcast questions. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, this. I think you've reached the point where we all want to be. I know there's one person in particular who just wish he had credentials. He wish he could be in the media scrum, bro. He wishes he could just do everything that you do, Doc, and he doesn't understand why SI props you up. Uh,
I don't understand
but
it either. No, listen,
hey,
listen.
listen,
Everybody should reach for that. If you want to do
yeah,
that, I would hope that anybody that joins the media would be able to ask questions that are also relevant to a different audience than maybe than the one that they have. And I feel like I've done that. I ask a
yeah,
wide variety of questions. I ask about the team, the players, the stuff that is just you just ask what people want to know about, and it's not that difficult because people feed it to me. They say, "Hey, Doc,
yeah,
ask this," or you go online, you peek a little bit and stuff like that, and you pay attention. Everybody has a right to try and be there, but my goodness, man, Don, let me tell you, media room is packed,
hmm
and when there's a big game, there's a lot of people there. And in the locker room, I'm a little guy. I got to try to maneuver my way through, and it's a great opportunity. And look, it's good. Everybody should have a strong desire. I had that
hmm
same reason, but my fuel was also just to prove people wrong that a podcast was media. Like that was the first step for me,
yeah,
was proving that, hey, a podcaster could cover it. Now they're probably like, I can't believe SI would hire this guy, that this guy has no boundaries. He just say whatever he feels like he says when he needs to say it. But I wish everybody the best of luck
yeah,
that tries it. And when you get told no multiple times, maybe potentially it's tough. But man, the
yeah,
room is like packed. And the problem is the podcasters are competing with the television stations, and there's more
hmm
of them. It's like
hmm
Lansing, Grand Rapids, Midland.
hmm
I'm like, my
hmm
God, there's like 50 television stations here. I can't get a spot to take a video because they
hmm
keep boxing me out.
yeah. Well, we know if that guy ever got in the media scrum, he would probably be trying to ask Brad Holmes like how he chose his tie today. Uh, and real quick, you probably didn't know this, but Edham reached out to me randomly, so the beef is squashed. I no longer have beef with Mr. Baydoun. I no longer hate him. So that was a watershed moment.
Look at you,
All right, let's
peacemaker.
yeah, let's talk about a little bit about you didn't appreciate the fans with their chant. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, no. What happened? No, what happened was,
hmm
um, you're talking about Ben Johnson and what
hmm
happened. Yeah. So listen, Ben Johnson was a guy that you feel like left the party before the goal was met. But
Right.
unfortunately, he got a big contract. I mean, $13 million. But he
hmm
still went to the Bears. You went to the
Yeah.
rival. His job is to try and prevent you from eating and
hmm
making success. So, and look, people felt like, you know, the perception is that taking interviews during a playoff run is a no-no, but that's what happens. It's just the way things go.
hmm
But people are upset that he went to the Bears, and that's fine. That triggers people's anger. No problem. I don't have no problem with it. I don't have any problem with people chanting at all. They did it,
Okay.
and I feel like fans, listen, man, if you're going to pay $500-$600 to go to a game, outside of causing, the problem is there's kids there, and
Hmm.
it's not really becoming, not in terms of sportsmanship. But this is Detroit. They chanted F Jalen Brunson. It's a
Mhm.
nasty crowd, that especially when people are drinking. So I don't have a problem when you're paying big money, as long as you're not being violent and really too aggressive. Then it's not really a big problem. But listen, I wanted the Lions to rub it in Ben Johnson's face. That was that was the goal. It's not to win the game. It was to destroy. I use a different phrase, but in this day and age, you can't use that phrase anymore. Even from 2 weeks ago, I use a different phrase that I can't use anymore. But basically, I'm glad that the Lions whooped the ass of the Chicago Bears. It made everybody feel better. It took the bad taste out of everybody's mouth, and they can move forward now. But you can't really, which was great, because it's a different dynamic where people get mad that you overreact negatively, but then they go and say, man, that win against the Bears means that you never have to worry about the Lions offense. John Morton is great. I'm like, so it's okay to swing wildly and overreact positively, but if you have some concerns or questions negatively, that's a big no-no. So it's funny. I fall in line with, look, that's the Bears. They're a bad team. And I had already known that because I am a crazy person, and I read almost 100% of, unlike some who read like 10%, I read like 100% almost of Lions content and stuff that might not even involve the Lions, might involve the Bears or the Vikings. There's a reporter that's doing like a 3-part series on why the Bears are dysfunctional. I was like, that's awesome. And, he basically was just like, the Bears are dysfunctional with a media GM who everybody hates and fires people and can't draft. I was like, this is great. And then I'm like, well, did some people not read that? Because then you got other people that are like, this win is a signature win and we have to value it like it's the super. I'm like, it's the Bears. So I said, Vito, what do you think? He's like, yeah, it's just the Bears. They suck. They haven't been relevant and they got a new coach and a Caleb Williams who, listen, scouts told me a long time ago. I talked to multiple scouts. They said his accuracy is just something that's going to be not great. And he's not a timing quarterback. He's not what Ben Johnson's going to like right away. He could develop into that, but you gotta be able to talk to a lot of different kind of people. And a lot of people told me that Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson would not be a nice mix early on. And that's what I mean. I don't just go on the air and say the Lions could beat down the Bears just off of my top of my head. I do some level of research, and it's all great. But listen, it's the Bears. You whoop their tail. That was the mission. Now you got to go and prove to the league that you can hang with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson.
Well, let's not talk about that right now.
It could happen.
Let me bask in this victory Monday, Doc. Let me bask in the victory Monday.
It could happen. I might even just say they could win the game if they play like that.
I mean, cats could also have spikes instead of fur. That doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
No, it doesn't mean it. I'm not in the guarantee business, but they definitely can. Going into that game with a lot of momentum, they're good in prime time, and there's a lot of things that got to go down for sure. But I understand your doubt, no doubt.
I'm petrified of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Those are probably my two favorite players outside of anybody on the Lions. So we have a question from Lisa. She says, question, Doc, can you ask Brad Holmes why he cannot draft in high in the draft who will not get paid while they pay Hutch?
Lisa, let me tell you something. During this last year's draft, we asked Brad Holmes about why he didn't draft a defensive end sooner. And he came out with, man, you guys are on my ass about the defensive end. Why?
6th round. I don't know.
He waited until the 6th round to get one. So here's the fun part for Brad. He does his talks from April until August. Now, from now until January,
the trade deadline.
Brad Holmes, or the trade deadline, you're exactly right. Brad Holmes stays away. He lets the team be run, and Dan Campbell is all over the talks. We tried to ask that question. I asked Brad literally 5 questions about defensive end. And I can actually tell you from my experience being in the room and listening to Brad what he says. They don't draft position. They don't draft that way. They don't say, we need to end, let's go take him. Nope. They go, this player needs to be smart, love football, good values, community, will be nice in the locker room, will accept tough coaching, will live and die and breathe football, will have good character, 8, 9 other traits that they're looking for, can learn on the board quickly. So if they don't have any of those traits, and I'm not talking about just a little one, no, they have their list and the player must fit all of it. All of it. And if they don't fit, they're not a Lion. And I'm like, listen, if the guy can sack the quarterback, but he likes to eat a couple cheeseburgers at night, just take the guy. Listen, if he wants to go out on 8 Mile and do some things here and club a little bit and date a couple ladies, I don't care. Can you sack the quarterback? So I'm of the opinion you let go of some of the character stuff and you value more of the can you sack the quarterback kind of thing. But the Lions did try. Lisa, they did try. There was reports they tried in the 3rd round to get and move up. There was reports that they tried, but their position in the draft now, because they're a good team, some teams didn't want to go down that far. So he's never going to come out and say, I tried to make trades and whiffed, but it just ends up being that way. So you take the good with the bad. They got a great receiver, I think, for the future. They got Tesla, who's going to be the X receiver for the next decade. You just can't build the perfect team. He just didn't find the right guy until he found Ahmed, who fit 19 different criteria. And you're absolutely right. What we got to do is like, Brad, can you just loosen up a couple of those criteria and just make it happen? But I do think that there's a chance maybe they find somebody, that's on a team that maybe is on the last year of a deal. We'll start looking, if the defensive end position doesn't get much better, if Marcus is out for a while, we'll start looking at players that may be on the last year of a deal, maybe on the Bengals. Maybe the Bengals will start shipping people. We'll see how it plays out. But Brad is trying, but he's not closing the deal on that one spot opposite of Aiden. Hopefully he does.
I'd say with him, I just don't understand why he gaslights us. Like, oh, the fans are mad because Aiden is so good and we just don't go get another one. No, we weren't asking you for another Aiden. We asked you not to cut Za'Darius.
but also Don, he's over 30 years old. He didn't go through camp. They just feel like
if you wouldn't have cut him, he would have gone through camp.
It's that's a fair assessment. But listen, Brad Holmes is one of those guys. He favors the youth. That's his deal. He favors the youth.
I mean, we hope that AQM can step in. Everyone loves AQM, but my thing about AQM was that
he's a role player.
With the Lions, he was on the couch.
Yeah, he's a role player.
Yeah.
Listen, he has basically a ceiling, and but the Lions will take it because he's consistent. They know what they got on him. They'll take that, but they need better. The fan base understands that. They are loud. They know that. They need better, but they're going to see if they're able to get pressure from Derek Barnes and linebackers and others as well. Look, you saw Brian Branch become a missile and get the football out. So they like what they have, but you're absolutely right. That's the biggest thing that could be the issue with Brad Holmes is he doesn't like shopping outside of the organization. So let's see. And look, he's had some big whiffs. Cam Sutton, he's sitting in the Allen Park getting some treatment, and the police are looking for him. So they're like, we got a guy in our building that the police don't, And then you got Emmanuel Mosley that burned him. So the external free agents haven't been all that great. But hey, you got to take the good with the bad. They got Amik Robertson, who's also a great addition to this team, and I hope that DJ Reed ends up being a nice replacement for Carlton Davis.
And we got DJ Reader. I mean, I think we have more good than bad. Cam Sutton is he's an outlier. Emmanuel Mosley is your fault, just like Marcus Davenport is your fault, just because you're ignoring their injury history. So you can't be mad like, oh, Emmanuel Mosley. Yeah, that was a bad signing, and so was Marcus Davenport. So now we want you to fix it. Go get someone who's not going to be injured. I know you've got to go. I don't want to take too much more of your time. Listen, I'm going to, because it's starting to get hot here, so I'm gonna have a shirt. Finally, I'm gonna make the official keeper of the JMO shirt. Okay. I'll send you one. I'll see if you get one to JMO. You know what I'm saying? That's all. This is from Motor City Don P. He wanted to gift you this shirt because that's my guy. And when he got re-signed, all the Oakley shades wearing fans, were out. Listen.
Hey, listen. Here's the best part: the lines are open. You can send it right to their facility. You know the address. I'll tell you the address. You send it right to the facility.
Send me the address. Send
it right to the facility, and then send a letter and say, "Hey, Motor City Don P. shouts out from overseas, man." Yeah, they'll take it.
Okay, cool. I'll definitely
look. What happens is if I give it to him, he'll smile on my face. He'll be like, "Cool," and then he'll just throw it on the floor.
Yeah, you got a reputation.
I had to write about his arrests and talk about it and his maturity and that was always tough too, because you're like, man, JMO, you got to be mature, and everybody's like, this is nothing. I'm like, this is not nothing. This is not potentially really serious, but it's not nothing. And luckily he matured. You can see the difference. The thing is that the tough part about the homers is that they sometimes don't want to listen to your point. My point was, I wanted to see this JMO that we see right now last year. That's it. Yeah. He's mature. He's talking like he's supposed to talk. He's not making any trouble. He does what he's supposed to do. That's all we were saying, is like the football player that we see right now, we wanted to see last year and the year before. And that's all we were saying. And people are like, oh, he's da, 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 da. Like, look, man, when you get paid that much money, it comes with the responsibility to mature.
Yeah.
But luckily, the chronological age has met his maturity. And
Yeah.
thankfully, he is now mature, and he's going to mature out there on the football field. He's comfortable with his money, and he's going to be productive. And hopefully all those mistakes are behind him. But that's what I'm saying is that sometimes homers just don't want to budge on the support. Jamo's going to hate Detroit. And I said, I can give you 86 million reasons why he will never hate Detroit. He's not leaving Detroit because of my big mouth. Shut up. Shut up. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth, Homer. Shut your mouth. There are 68 million reasons guaranteed that he's going to be just fine. Let me report on the Lions.
Yeah.
My goodness, let me open my mouth and speak freely and stop trying to shut me up because I'm saying something that you don't want to hear. The problem with a lot of people too, and it's even outside of sports, is they hear something they don't like and they get so angry that they want to shut up the person that's saying it. And I'm like, I welcome all opinions. I like your opinion. I like the other person's opinion. I like different things. I may not agree with it. I may not like it, but I entertain it. And so that's what people maybe are mad about with me is that you think what happened last week was the first time the media got mad at me for questions, like the third, fourth time. Dude, I have thick skin. It's not a problem. It's never going to be a problem because I have friends that call me names, friends that laugh at me because I stink at fantasy, friends that think I'm not supposed to be in this job and the other guy's supposed to be in the job. They're like, how come the other guy's not get a credential? He'd probably be asked so much better questions than you. And I'm like, probably, but I'm just crazy enough to put all the pieces together and finally to be able to navigate everything. So it's a fun thing. I understand it, but you got to remember, you can't silence voices. You have to engage them like the best. Here's what people do. They wonder why you get blocked on the internet. Listen, if you're going to come at me with a message that says, you don't know football, you're a effing loser, and I don't like your questions, and here's why. You think I'm going to sit there and entertain that kind of debate? No. I will entertain a whole lot of things. You're not good at your job, But if you're disrespectful, I don't need to engage in that kind of conversation. That's simple as that. So I guess I'm saying it through your audience, and we can start it now. If you don't like something I say, it does not need to start with an interview, with an interrogation of calling me annoying or calling me a boob or calling me unlucky or why does he get a pass? How did he get there? My story's different. You are not ever going to be me. That's simple as that. You're not going to outwork me. You're not going to do anything more than me. I've done it already. And I've done it now for the 8 years. You got to just stay in your own lane and figure yourself out. But just tell me, hey, John, you said this. Here's why it could be looked at differently. That's all. And then maybe I'll look at it and say, yeah, maybe you're right. And maybe I'm not. But what people do is they go and they want to drop a bomb on you like it means anything. Like, what does it value to you to tell me that I don't know football? Okay, well then in the end, it's a bigger compliment that I'm getting paid to cover football if I don't know anything. Okay, so I may not know as much as you, or I may not spend 1,000 hours watching film, but I watch enough to where last week I went on the internet and said, hey, John Morton, maybe set up the run with the pass. Maybe be a little bit more creative. Hey, why don't you stop running it in the interior? Did that just come out of my ass? No. I watch film. I talk to people. I do research. I talk to scouts. I text people with my 2 phones. So you may not like me.
Don't you mean your 15 phones?
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
run your 87 businesses all at the same
Exactly.
time.
You're not going to silence me. You can't. I own the company. I have the job. It's not going anywhere for a long time. And so, yes, I have a big ego. Yes, I am very confident in what I do. But Don, if you call me and say, hey, come on the show, I'm here. I'm here. I'm not bigger than anybody. But if your stance is to drop a bomb on me and then you wonder why one comes back at you, maybe even sharper and nastier, then come on. Let's be realistic here. People, just argue the facts. Just say, John, the Lions offense will never be the same. Why would you ask that? You know why I asked that? Because about 40 people told me to ask it. That's why. And so It's a tough question. It wasn't maybe worded the perfect way, but it was the simple question. It was basically this offense that you just showed against the Bears. If you just maybe had a couple more facets of that against the Packers, it might have looked a lot better and more competitive instead of looking slow and lackadaisical and lack of physicality. It just didn't look right. And the whole world wanted to know about it. So, and again, too,
better show it on Monday.
you have to look at this. You have to say, Don, that you have to ask questions sometimes that make the person you're asking uncomfortable. That's it. That's the job. That's the job. That is hopefully if one day this ends for me and I meet Dan Campbell for a coffee, I said, hey, listen, hopefully you found those questions respectful, but I had to challenge you. That's the job. That's what my audience would laugh at me and that I've had since 2018 would be not happy with me if there was something wrong with the Lions. And I'm like, that Packers game wasn't as bad as it looked on tape. You got a couple points here late. What's the advantage of that? I'm like, come on. Let's talk real football here. This is Detroit. Yeah. This is not Candyland.
No, it's not. Speaking of debates, I want to come on your podcast and debate Mr. Christian Boer about his stance on not needing Zadarius Smith because we had Mitchell Agut.
Oh, did he say that? Did he say that?
Yes. I was like, what are we talking about?
Listen. Listen. I love Christian. He's a journalist. So the journalists sometimes, and they're a unique group of people. I love them dearly. I have 2 on my staff, but they read stuff and they get influenced by what they see. And Mitchell had a couple good practices. And it's against, it's just the context sometimes gets missed. And make sure you send me that so I can send it to him. There's nobody that I love ribbing more than Vito and Christian. But truly, outside of the silly junk talk I do to journalists, there's no higher respect I can give them than paying 2 or 3 of them to be by my side and say, hey, protect me through the landmines of all these commas and semicolons and grammatical stuff and keep me afloat because I'm wild. I have earned that right to be wild, and I respect them. But yeah, Christian and Vito, they have some takes sometimes that make you go, huh? And that one, I can't wait to tell them. I'm like, bro, I went on an interview and they said that you said that they don't need a better edge rusher than Mitchell Agude, and he got cut.
Yeah, I have to try to. I have to try to find the article, but I know I mentioned it on several shows. I was like, because a lot of times I'll read your stuff, you guys' stuff, as the information, and I'll react to it. And I was like, when he said that, I was like, hold on, wait, huh? We've got some promising prospects like Mitchell Agut. Do you mean the Tom Kennedy of the defense? What are you talking about?
Right. Listen. There's no better spot that overreact than training camp. You have a couple sacks against a guy that's not going to be on the team, and he's on a couple watch lists, and people are like, this guy's going to be great. There's a lot of players like that we've all fallen in love with, but you have to live in the moment. Listen, you can't be 100% in your accuracy, and there's no guarantee that if Zadarius Smith was here on this team, he would be doing what he's doing at this point in time. You never know. But listen, I'm hoping
that's called copium, John.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the defensive end position shores itself up. But man, and here's what stinks. I do a lot of podcasts, and one of my favorite ones is with my cousin Adam Strozinski. It's called Doc and Jock, and you hate to do that to players, but we were like, how many games is Marcus going to last? Let's just kind of say, and
it's been a running tally.
I'm not going to say what I said. I'm not going to say what I said publicly. Adam's like, bro, 3. He's like, 3, bro, 3. And Adam's not attached to anything, so he'll say it. And so he messaged me this morning. He's like, I knew you were busy at the game, but it looks like he only lasted 2, bro. And it's tough, man, because it's just unfortunate. When you see the player, you hate it for him. You hope that the second opinion is because the first one was a good one. But I always thought that a second opinion means that maybe the first one might need some attention, like some stuff.
And you don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. Or the team's like, I want you to do that. So, but listen, man, you could go to 40 different doctors and they'll tell you 40 different things. It's just unfortunate because I have never heard, this is the first time I've ever heard of it, where a guy gets a injury report for one injury, comes back, and then goes out and is questionable for a whole other injury. I'm like, man, that's just tough. It's one of those deals where the injury luck for some players, it's not on their side. I hope that whatever happens, it's a short-term thing and he can be there for the playoffs. But in the end, it's hard to earn the trust of the fans of Detroit because of the situation. So, and thank you, Lisa. That means a lot to me. I think I'm just in a better position to be able to ask those questions because there's nobody breathing down my neck, saying don't ask it or keep favor or nothing like that. I am responsible for me. That's it. The views expressed by John Macaroon do not necessarily reflect those of On SI, Vito, Christian. They are the views expressed by me. And guess what? I can stand the heat. Thank you guys, because I'm going to share with you, Don. I'm a good psychologist, great at writing, but I think I'm really good at marketing in the end.
Okay.
And
I need some
all attention is wonderful attention. That wasn't the attention I was hoping to get, but in the end, it's nice when people are like 50%. That was amazing. Nobody asked that. And the other half are like, you're a boob. It's kind of nice. It's well, like because I'm in that position now. I'm 46 years old. I've been teased as a youngster. By the time I hit 30, I didn't care anymore. And I went into the job saying, I only want to look one man in the mirror and be proud of him. And that's me. And so far, so good.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure you will have that coffee at some point with Dan Campbell. I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure he'll.
So Don, if the Lions win the Super Bowl, you flying in, we're all going to get drunk at the parade? Me, you, Don, all the YouTubers get together. Let's all get drunk and see if we can stay out of trouble. You coming to town?
Well, I don't drink, but I'll watch y'all drink.
Oh, we got it. All right. Don's going to be the Doc's designated driver. He's like,
there we go.
I'm like, that's the Doc? That's how he acts when he drinks? I'm like, I thought that guy was going to be sipping on some whiskey. This guy is like down in some Colt 45 and stuff. He's like, this guy can't control himself. This is not what I thought this guy acts like. So
you mean you
judge the book by its cover.
You mean you would get on the stream and you would have some malt liquor and some weed, Doc?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
But you don't look like me, Doc.
The first time, listen, maybe, if it happens on your show, because you've been so kind and gracious and funny, the first time I indulge in that kind of stuff, it could happen on your show. I'll just not live smoking, but maybe I'll get a bear or a rope or whatever these kids are doing these days and just get after it.
Hey, and I'll send it to Syndicate, and he can send it to the other guy.
You can say, listen, the best part is that those that don't like me, they don't really know me. They've met me once and they just go off of what they see. This act that you see riled up here on the internet. I'm really more toned down, but I get to get riled up and they're like, you are not allowed to talk junk to me, but I can talk junk to you. I can say all these things about you and say you're not a ball knower, and then you can't handle some stuff back. It's all fun. In the end, I have no hard feelings towards anybody. I've shaken hands with half of these people. It's great. Everybody's doing their own thing, and everybody's trying to make their pathway, and I'm having a good time with it. And like Robbie says, I'm just trying to make jokes, and some jokes are funny, some are not, some needling. Really, in the end, Don, the big thing is that I like to needle everybody. Like when I'm walking in the media room, I'll just see a couple people and be like, they still let you here? They let you in here? They didn't cut you off yet? They're like, I'm like, damn, you're old. Like, you know what I mean? But they know me. And so if you say that to people that don't know your intention, it comes across as being like arrogant and rude and all that kind of stuff. But that's fine. I don't care anymore. I'm 46. If you like me, you like me. You don't like me, it's fine. I've compartmentalized all that in my head, and I'm having fun with the job. It's a great job. It really is. It's worth having, but it's a lot of work. But it's tough because there is a section of people that don't want any type of criticism to come across their feed. They want to be in their fanboy bubble, and they just want to hear that the Lions are amazing and going to win the Super Bowl because they beat the Bears. Well, that's not what you're going to get on SI. What you're going to get is a measured comment from Vito in a beautiful article that he wrote today. He said the Lions should be proud. They whooped on the Bears, but it's just the Bears. They're not relevant. They're not even a good football team. You can't extrapolate relevancy off of that. They were supposed to do that. We were calling for that in August as a goal. How could you even entertain that idea if the Bears weren't hot trash garbage? So I hope you find that people that visit on SI, you find the content fun, you find the videos fresh. There's brand new videos. And if you go to our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast, you'll say, you know what? I value the work that he does. I think that I'll put him in my list of trusted Lions, a trusted Lions reporter. There are still some people that I sit next to that don't want to even acknowledge that I'm a trusted guy. That's funny to me. And so that's what I'm making my goal is to say, I'm going to go on every podcast. I'm going to go and write 1,000 blogs a year. I'm going to do 60 videos a month. And I'm going to show you that I should be, if your stringent routine is, I'm only going to read 10% of all Lions content. My only goal is I kind of want to be in that 10%. And that's just a personal goal for me. Not ego driven. It's respect driven. And to me, if I can get into your little 10% bubble of Lions content, that'll mean a lot to me personally. Most people read a little bit more than that, but damn, some people have high standards to get into that club. But I'm like, okay, let's not go for the average reporter. Let's go for the one that has the tightest, the smallest window of margin that he reads. I'm like, damn, do I got to be an analytics guy, gambling guy? Do I got to, kiss butt more? I don't know what I got to do, but that will fuel me for the next couple years. How do I get into the majority of people's list where they say, I trust that guy. I like that guy. Yeah, he's a little wild. Yeah, he's a little unprofessional at times on X, but I like when he tweets news, I believe it, and I don't have to question the words that on that website.
I don't think X is for professionalism. If you're looking for professionalism on X, I think you should go to LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, I can't believe you would write that on X, bro. I've been acting like that since 2013. It's a clown show, so I go act like a clown in the clown show. It's pretty straightforward. X is a clown show. It always has been. So I act like a clown. But you can tell most smart people can see the difference between something that's reported honestly and stuff that's just completely made up and for fun and jokes and stuff like that. And for Robbie, thank you. I know you're noticing the hard work. This isn't work. Talking to my man, Don. Don's a great guy. He's funny. He's always hit me up and been very respectful, patient with me, with my schedule and stuff like that. So yeah, I've said yes to 99.99% of interview requests because it's fun conversation. It's not where I get amped up. Like I said, the one thing I got to get better at is I do have a propensity to glaze myself a little bit too much. But if you knew my story and how hard I fought, when Amik Robertson says from the dirt, I was below the dirt. I was below the dirt. I was a podcaster in the basement. I was below the dirt. And people said, you are nothing. You are scum. You are a scum of the internet. You're the scum of the media. And guess what? Through hard work and belief and luck and dedication, podcasts became popular with the athletes. It became popular with the whole wide world. And luckily to me, I was one of the first dozen people in Detroit to kind of get into a weekly podcast that was semi-decent, and I got lucky with it. That's all it was. And so, but to see, if people really knew how hard I tried and how many emails I sent and how many rejection letters, you would say, okay, I'll give you the 5 minutes, a show to just talk about it and how you got there, because it should motivate people that you can get told no. You can, and also to this day, certain groups of people don't like podcasters. I love that. And now I've joined you guys. I think they hate YouTubers more than they hate podcasters. I'm like, I like that. Let's join you guys. You guys are in the right side of history. Entertaining, fun. We can talk junk a little bit to other shows. This is the right side of broadcasting. So I'm glad I'm part of it. I'm glad people convinced me to do it. And I would never turn down an interview. It's a great time to talk. I've been on the Villain Show, your show, everybody's YouTube show that's invited me. I've basically been on. I'm having a good time with it, and I think Robbie knows it. So I'm glad you got to see it, because then you'll get a sense of really what I'm about.
Yeah, I think they hate us because I think they think it's too easy to get in, and yeah, it's easy to get into, but
it's
to stay around.
It's not easy to be there. It's not easy to stay around. It's a 24-hour job. It's it's the NFL is nonstop action. I've written about 4 dozen stories in my car. So if you want to compete, you got to grind and you got to, want to be part of the action. And that's what I did. I felt like, to me, why I stayed a little bit was long because I used some of that little nonsensical stuff to motivate me. Like, people not acknowledging you, or journalists playing with making their own rules. Like, there's rules. Journalism has rules. It's straightforward. Now, I acknowledge I don't follow most of them. I don't even know half of them, but I do know the big ones. The big ones are, you should at least acknowledge the people that are doing the job. You should at least respect those that are doing the job and not act like because you don't like the person or you don't like their style or flow, you act like they're not there.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's just being an elitist. And the funny thing is, every time times change, the people who are the elitists are usually the ones that get phased out because they refuse to adapt, to whatever it is. Like, I've reached out to people, like even the Bears thing last year. I was trying to get that roundtable thing started, and I reached out to, some of the beat reporters. Nothing. You just don't get anything back, and it's like
not even a no. They don't acknowledge it.
Just don't even acknowledge it.
See, that's what I'm saying. See, yeah. I hate that you told me that, because I probably would assume that. I don't want to ever assume that. That's really, I can't ever imagine if someone sends you a direct message, you don't even say yes or no. But hey, maybe they get 50 times more than I do, and that's what happens. But I can't imagine that that's the right thing to do in any capacity. I'm sorry that happens. I hope that that's not a reflection on many people, but I'm glad you found the guy that also too. Listen, I'm not going to lie, Don. I think the universe conspired not to have that happen, because they'll put your audience to sleep anyway. They'll be like, Don, let me tell you why week 1 was just such an overreaction that the Lions, it's a new season and they're allowed to have a game like that. It's the Packers. They just traded for Micah Parsons. And it's like, they're going to give the company line. It's going to be boring as hell. And it's just going to put people to sleep. So listen, you talk to the people that respond to you. And if they don't, it's their loss. Let's go.
Yeah, that is what that is. Well, make sure, I know, because, the NFL is coming to Australia next year. So if you got anybody that's coming on SI and they coming over, just tell them, holla at your boy.
Got it.
I'm sure I guess I'll be here next year. I don't know, but
you will be. Absolutely.
I'm an international, person, so I'm always somewhere, but I guess I'll be here.
That's right. Listen, Robbie, you're absolutely right. I know that was awesome too. It just so happened that I was coming off of a practice and there's that guy. He's like, and he was so nice too. The It's Too Easy vlog. He's great. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I heard about him, and then he followed me. I followed him, and I'm like, oh, he does good work. He gets the Lions players to play golf with them, eats with them. Everybody's trying to do their own thing and have a good time with it. So it's awesome. It's awesome. And like I said, the one thing I always wanted people to know is that those that truly know me know that I'm approachable, I'm honest, and we're going to talk junk to each other. It's going to be fun. It's boys will be boys, locker room stuff. If you don't judge and you are a nice person, then you can understand that there's going to be some needling going on. If I know something about you, we're going to needle a little bit. But you can needle back, and there's no hard feelings. But for me, the big thing, I think, for like most people, is just respect. Like, listen, I get it. There's things I do that you're never going to do, or that you're never going to act like. You can't be that way. But you can't act like I'm not there. I'm working as hard as you are.
Yeah.
You can't act like that. Yeah. And now I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm going to say, hey, wait a minute. This job has rules, and y'all supposed to follow them. And it might not be the highest level of reporting from my end here, because I have a life and I like it. But the stuff that I do report, can't just ignore it. You just can't ignore it. That's all. It's just simply ridiculous at the highest level of ridiculousness. But that's why that field is shrinking and losing money, and it's just not working right, because they make the rules and then they arbitrarily pick and choose what rules to follow. I'm like, all right, that's kind of a weird thing to do, is to put out rules and then don't follow them. I'm like, okay. But then people on the outside are going to be like, that's kind of a rule. It's kind of a thing you're supposed to do. So just do it and keep it moving.
A lot of them are super boring. So, when they try to switch to, these YouTube streets, they don't have any personalities. Yeah. So nobody really wants to watch them. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I'll read your article, but I'm not tuning into your podcast.
All right. Listen, I'm going to tell you this. People think the Lions are going to lose to the Ravens. If they can figure out, and it's a tough uphill climb, if they can figure out how to contain Lamar Jackson, that offense doesn't have as much talent as the Lions. The Lions have 6 guys that can be all pros. They got to work on the offensive line. They got to avoid the interior rush. The interior rush is terrible. The interior rush of the Lions has become terrible for some reason. Run off tackle, get it to Jahmyr Gibbs like they did in space, get those crossing routes working. I think the Lions can punch the Ravens in the mouth. I think the Ravens also, too, I'm not a geeknik. I am not an analytical wizard, but I realized that they've given up 80-some points, and they are not the defensive team that they used to be. And that team can be exploited. Now, John Morton is in the lab at 3:30 every morning. So that would be 3:30 in the morning would be 3:30 in the about 7 p.m. every day at your time. He's there, doing his thing. 3:30 in the morning every day. I think he can find ways to exploit opportunities for the Detroit Lions to win football games. I think this one is one that maybe you get down a couple touchdowns early, but then when you settle in, you might get an interception from Lamar to DJ Reed, or maybe Tyrion gets one that doesn't get called back. You fight your way, you scratch your claw. If you can drag them out to the deep end of the sea in like 14-14, 17-14 in that fourth quarter, the engine revs in that fourth quarter. So you heard it here first. Before I do my hardcore preview, I'm thinking like 23-20, Lions grind it out early on. They grind one out because they're going to run the ball well. They're going to try to shut up the Ravens, and the Ravens don't look all that great outside of Lamar and a couple offensive weapons. I think the defense can be had. I think they're going to find some loopholes to get in early on.
So I wasn't going to talk about it, but you pulled me into this. I wasn't going to talk about it. When I saw the Bills game, I said, okay, that defense can be had. And if we're going to beat them, it's going to have to be a shootout. If Coach Shep can come up with a plan to contain Lamar Jackson, he will be a head coach next year.
Yeah. There you go.
Then we're going to have to deal with this coordinator thing the entire
or you just let Lamar beat you and nobody else. Just like let him run for like 80, 90 yard touchdown, but nobody else gets explosive plays. Listen.
Tire him out.
Listen, the fun part is that the Lions in prime time seem like, just picture the Chiefs game last year, or 2 years ago when they started off the opener against the Chiefs. It's early in the year. You're grinding it out. Might not be the prettiest game. You're just kind of feeling each other out early on, and then you get that Brian Branch pick six. Boom. You got 2017 kind of win. It was just one of those grinded out kind of games. And I think that you don't need a second opinion, as Robbie says. You heard it here first. First opinion. The diagnosis is the Ravens are cooked. And that's that. Ravens are cooked.
Well, let's hope you're not eating crow.
I hope not. Well, remember, this is still Monday. I have not done my deep dive other than the basics yet. Now, that opinion can change by Monday. Now, your audience now will know the doc is flying out Monday morning to arrive hopefully Monday early morning in Baltimore. I will be in that stadium. I will take a photo. And guess what? I have a new goal too. Me and Lamar are going to wear matching furs in and out of the stadium. And we're going to flow and we're going to have a good party. And whatever happens, if Lamar loses, no problem. I'm going to wear buffs. I'm going to get in his entourage. We're going to have some dinner. And I'm going to tell him why he needs to come to the Lions and replace Jared Goff and win 5 Super Bowls. And I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to be the liaison to figure out how the Lions can trade Jared Goff to the Ravens for Lamar Jackson. And we'll throw in a couple picks. And me and Lamar are going to run Detroit. Facts.
Are you a seafood guy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, there's like a pier next to the stadium, M&T Bank. And I don't remember what the restaurant is. I was there in 2017.
Okay.
Or 2015. One of the last times I was back in the States. But they've got this seafood restaurants down there on the dock.
Nice.
Bro. So it's like right down the street from M&T Bank.
All right, that's it. I will be there.
Yeah,
I'll enjoy some lunch there. I'll get my
yeah.
seafood. I'll get my lobster. I'll get my crab legs. I'll get my scallops on. We'll see what
Oh, they
hits
got the
what hits the
buckets.
palate. Yeah, or lobster rolls or whatever
Hmm.
kind of things that hit my palate that day. I am a seafood connoisseur, and I'm a big
Yes,
fan all over the place. So, absolutely, thank you, my man. Send
no
me
problem.
again a reminder that there's stuff by the stadium, and I'll
Okay,
report back maybe if they win and handily, I'll come back on and we'll give you a review of Baltimore and my experience to see if Lamar Jackson is now part of Doc's entourage. Because
okay. Well,
not
I hope
everybody
so.
can be in my entourage. I'm very selective. You got to have a good crew. You got to have a nice male female ratio, and you got to
Okay,
be able to hold a conversation. You got to be able to entertain me a little bit because I get bored and want to watch some football. So if they can have, if Lamar can entertain me, maybe get me into a couple places that I don't got to wait in line. If he's got something to offer to the table, I know he's entertaining. I know he's an athlete, but if he's got something to offer, me and him can be friends.
yeah. I think he's a little bit more exciting than Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry
Yeah.
seems like he's great. But he doesn't seem like he's got the most personality. But Lamar,
You know what? That'll be the goal. Will be me, Lamar, and Derrick. We'll all sit down in a room, and I'll listen. You hang out with me a little bit. We'll have some fun. We'll have some conversations.
yeah.
Derrick will have some laughs, and he'll open up a little bit. He'll get on some TikTok videos. He'll make some videos of some good times.
Just as long as you keep him up all night
Yeah.
and tired,
The night before, right?
so they can't make it to
The night before. No, done deal. Done deal. I
Mhm,
plant the seeds now.
mhm,
When the Lions face the Ravens in the Super Bowl,
mhm.
me, Derek, and Lamar will catch up, and it just keep going on and on and on. And I'll just keep ordering the Dom and the expensive stuff and the Remy and whatever they need. And we'll
Mhm.
just, for some reason, Lamar Jackson and Derek don't look right. And they'll be like, what happened? And they'll be like,
Mhm.
this idiot Doc took us out. And it'll be like a legendary story. This podcaster took us out. They'll be like, which podcaster took out the Ravens? And it'll be
Right.
like, the guy that covered the Lions. And they'll be like, he planned that stuff on a podcast back in September.
Mhm.
That's what's going to
Mhm.
happen. I'm going to plant the seeds starting from now. This is a scouting mission. This
Okay.
is a early scouting mission to plant the seeds to derail the Ravens when they get to the Super Bowl against the Lions. Derek,
That's
John, and I'll take one for the team. Derek, John, and Lamar
and
are
Lamar.
all in the slammer because they couldn't handle what was going on. They were staying up late in San Francisco, screaming at the top of their lungs. And there's a video. We don't know what's going on, but these three people were acting a fool the night of the Super Bowl, and there's an issue.
I don't think there's any way someone would have to commit personicide.
Right. I know,
to
right?
get
I'll be like, Doc,
to
we
get
got the
locked
curfew.
up before
I'll be
the
like,
Super
listen,
Bowl.
forget the curfew. John Harbaugh's cool. I'll get on the phone with Jim and be like, listen, Jim, I know I've really said some nasty things about you, but
Mhm.
they need a pass. Thank you.
Mhm.
Tell your brother
Mhm.
John that we need a pass. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it. Don, I enjoyed the talk, man.
Hey, it's always great to have you on, Doc, man. I appreciate you coming out and hanging out with us and taking your time. Real quick before you go, remember you got to send me the information for the line so I can send that shirt
Yes.
to JMO.
Yes.
What do you think the outlook for the Bears is for the rest of the season?
Jalen Johnson is now, I think, out for a long period of time. That's a
Out
big
for the
loss
season,
for
I
their
think.
defense. They got to figure
Mhm.
stuff out. Caleb Williams is going to have a year of development trying to figure out this offense. It's a timing-based offense, and I think I see them struggling. It's a tough division. I probably see them winning one or two games in the division. They'll finish last, and I think that it's an uphill climb. It's year one. So I give them what Dan Campbell had, 3 wins, 4 wins, if that, and it's going to be a struggle, and they're going to have talks about the quarterback position, but they need to play better. The Bears just laid down against the Lions, and that's a bad sign because the whole world knew how important that game was to Ben. He hates losing. No, Davenport is not like that. He's fighting hard. That's a bad reputation that he's got, and he doesn't want to have it, but it's just his body is not at the moment conducive to staying healthy. It's just the way it is. It's just some players, they just get banged up, and that's what happened. I don't listen. In the end, he's only making a certain amount of money,
Yeah.
so it's and also too, I believe it was a 1-year deal.
Mhm.
So if you look at it, Lisa, from just a factual common sense perspective, the better he plays, if he gets 10 sacks, he could earn $14 million next year
Yeah,
from
we
somebody
we
else.
we went over his contract. I think he's guaranteed like a million or something like
Yeah.
that, or something a
So
little bit less than that.
if
But
he
if
has
he
a good
plays everything and does everything and reaches all the
up to
incentives, he's
5,
got 4.75.
yeah. So he can double that with a good
Yeah,
year. So he ain't doing that. I disagree.
yeah. All right, Doc. We will catch you on the flip side,
Fact.
and enjoy your time in Baltimore.
I
And we
will.
shall see you later. All right, peace out. All right, y'all. Let's talk about this Bears game a little bit. We appreciate the Doc for coming through. Um, everybody's good now. Everybody understands. Uh, the Bears are not a good team. Okay, the Bears are not a good football team. I hope not everyone is not too excited about what we did to them. We did hit them with that BTA. Okay, we drop kicked them. Okay, we opened up a 2-pack, a 2 can, right? A whoop ass on them. Listen, Caleb Williams is an extremely talented quarterback. He's an extremely talented football player. When you make him hold the ball, when you make him play from behind, the hero comes out. And when the hero comes out, bad things happen for the Chicago Bears. The defense was all over him. They had 4 sacks. They probably could have had 3 more. There's one I'm glad that Hutch did not get, because that led to Kirby Joseph's first interception of the year. And I forgot to tell the Doc that I wanted to get Slim Pickens to Kirby Joseph as the official nickname, but we'll get it to him some kind of way. But we're going to get into the Ravens coverage tomorrow. I'll do some mailbag. I don't really want to think about the Ravens too much. I've been afraid of this game since they put it on the schedule. I don't like playing the Ravens. I don't like playing Lamar. We almost had him in 2019. It took old Justin Tugger a 66-yard NFL record field goal to win that game against the Detroit Lions at Ford Field in Detroit. And then the next time we played them a couple years ago, we got absolutely mollywopped. So I don't know. I hope this game goes more like the first one than the last one, because I tell you, Lamar had 10 seconds to throw last time on every drop back, and we just got destroyed. All right. So mailbag. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they reading you? Mailbag. Snick, mailbag. Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Bask in it. BJ needs that number one Bears, aka Chicago Catfish bottom feeders number one pick again. You are speaking the truth about the Bears being a bad team, which is why I am still concerned for our team. Yeah, so I want to see that high flying offense. Listen, so I have confidence in Johnny Morton to not be stupid. So what I mean by that is Johnny Morton has put together a game plan in which he had the right route concepts going. He had the communication going on the offensive line. He had the run game going. Jahmyr Gibbs, 12 carries, 94 yards. David Montgomery, 11 carries, 57 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 7.5 yards a carry. David Montgomery, 5.2 yards per carry. Jameson Williams, 2 catches, 108 yards. Okay, my man averaged 54 yards per catch and a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 9 catches, 115 yards, and 3 tutties. Brock Wright got involved. Sam Laporta got involved. Everybody got involved. So now that Johnny Morton understands, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can use all of these weapons. Yeah, I can spread the ball around. Obviously, we had Tesla making that thrilling, amazing catch that he made. Chris Sims is calling him Electron. I wanted to stay away from all of the Tron names. I don't hate Electron. Any Tron that is there, Mayotron, Cybertron, I hate all that. I'm not Electron because, Tesla, the electricity. Yeah, I think it works a little bit. I'm still a fan of SpaceX, but Electron is not bad. It's not bad, and I'm a fan of the electrician, baby, for Jahmyr Gibbs. You know what I mean? So, Electron's not bad. So the fact that he's seen that he can get all of these people involved in the offense and it can be prolific, and Jared Goff can have 5 incompletions and throw for 334 yards and 5 touchdowns, and a 156.0 passer rating, and he can do all of these things. I think Johnny Moe now understands what the blueprint is. Will it work as good against the Baltimore Ravens? I don't think so, but you have the blueprint. The blueprint is already there. So because you know what you're doing, I don't have a problem with it. I did not think so the only problem I had with play calling from him yesterday was the problem that I've had with the Lions for years. You throw the ball backwards or you go backwards on first down, you lose 5 yards and then you come back with a run. I've always hated that. I've always hated it. Now, if you're first and 20 because you had a holding penalty and then you come back with a run, I mean, it doesn't suck as much, but I still hate it. Right? As John said, as the doc said, hey, why don't you pass to open up the run? Right? Because we always do it in the reverse. When it's first and 20 or when it's second and 15, stop running, because you generally you're not going to get too much. So that was really the only problem that I had with him yesterday. It wasn't a perfect game by any stretch. Goff missed some throws. People missed blocks here and there, but it was a much, much, much better showing than what we saw against the Packers. All right. Mr. Morale 31C says, nope, anything remotely similar to Megatron is a no for me. Like I said, Sunday, it's lame and lazy. It is. But we can't call him Electro. But like I said, SpaceX is good enough for me. Lion King, is Marcus Davenport hurt? He is indeed hurt. Just as I said, when the doc was saying, his cousin said, well, how many games will it be? Well, it'll be 3. Like, y'all know I've been telling y'all the entire offseason. He played 2 last season. I needed to see him get past week 3 because he got injured in week 1, missed week 2, came back in week 3, played a quarter and a half, and was out for the rest of the season. I said I needed to see him get past week 3. Davenport's situation is not a situation of laziness. It's not a situation of lack of want to, of lack of desire, or lack of will. I mean, he got hurt twice in the game. He came back in after the ankle injury. Then he gets a sack and lands on his shoulder or whatever it was, and now he's got a shoulder injury in which he's seeking a second opinion. That Marcus Davenport's body is not able to handle the rigors of an NFL season. That's it. It's not because, and again, they were talking him up all this offseason. Oh, he's working on his condition. Oh, he's working on his durability. And my question was, why now is he working on his durability? And he's been in the league already 7 years. This is year 8. Why is he just now waiting to work on his durability? I didn't want to be right. I didn't. But I was. And now he's hurt again. We don't know how long for. My man, so the concerning part for me was when they were interviewing him at his locker and they said, you want to give us, update on how you're feeling, da 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 da. He said, nope. And then later on in the same interview, they were like, okay, so, really nothing serious. He was like, I don't know. We about to see. How do you not know if you seriously injured or not? So, that is what that is with Marcus Davenport, bro. I don't know nothing else. I can't help you. Trubisky feels Williams equals bust. let's let Tesla get some play under his belt before we give him a nickname. I was saying that the whole offseason, but I had to, we can't be calling him no Tron nothing. The backwards toss, yeah. OMG, hashtag Davin Hurt. Should have paid Z. Yep, should have. Should have never cut him. It's been betraying him for years, and that's not Davenport's fault. What's the fault? You have to look at Brad Holmes. I mean, at some point you have to learn from your mistakes. We talked about Emmanuel Mosley. That was a mistake. But the thing about Emmanuel Mosley is we were at a different point in our roster construction. We weren't a good team when Emmanuel Mosley was here. We were trending towards that way, and maybe having a corner on the opposite of Cam Sutton, who wasn't supposed to be your number one corner in the first place, maybe having someone on the other side of him, allowing him to be a number two, which is what he's supposed to be, right, would have propelled you to the Super Bowl. Maybe you don't finish that season 9-8. Maybe you finish at 11-7. Who knows? 11-6. Sorry, bad math. Okay, but now we are in a Super Bowl window. We are chasing a Lombardi. This is the expectation of everyone. So now that this is the expectation of everyone, we have to make moves like having an insurance policy for Marcus Davenport, right? I'm not mad that Marcus Davenport's on the team, because guess what Marcus Davenport did yesterday when he hurt himself? He got the first sack of the season. Hutch didn't get it. AQM didn't get it. Davenport got it. But you sign guys off practice squads and they're inactive. Where's Tyrus the Virus? How many games has he played out of the two? None. He's a healthy scratch. What about that dude's name? Was it Andre Carter II? He don't play. Right? So this was the reason that we had the issue, because we did not address the need for someone behind Marcus Davenport. We just said, oh, AQM is fine. Okay. We'll see how AQM, because he's about to get his opportunities. Dan Campbell said he's going to get more opportunities. He's definitely going to get them, because Marcus Davenport is going to miss time, however much it is. Breakstraw was a bad draft pick, plain and simple. Facts. I do not disagree. Maybe that's what his career was for. The Nookie. Carter was signed to the practice squad. Right. That's what I'm saying. But he's not being elevated. He doesn't play. That was my point. All right. We're going to go ahead and sign on off here. Guys, if you have not checked out the NFC North report, make sure that you check out the NFC North report on Motor City Cats. I am painstakingly watching these games. I got to rewatch the Vikings game so that I can tell you how bad JJ McCarthy looked and what you have to think, or what you have to worry about as far as their defense. Their defense looks a little bit different this season. I don't know. It looks like Brian Flores is trying to do something other than blitz, and it ain't really working too great. So, yeah, I'm going to rewatch that game later today. Thankfully, I have Game Pass, so it's only going to take me 40 minutes just to go through all of the plays and not have any of the stoppages, none of the commercials, none of that stuff. So it's just going to be all game action, fast and furious, coming at you hot and heavy. Pause. So make sure you check it out. A lot of time goes into it. So right now we've got the initial one, which, I had some audio issues. I don't know what that was, but that's up. We've got the Packers version, which went up. Thursday night, Friday morning. We've got now the Bears and the Lions version, which is up for week 2. The next one will be the Minnesota Vikings. So we're going to give a report about these teams every week after the games that they play. So next week I will have to watch 4 games. I'll have to watch the Packers play somebody else. I'll have to watch the Lions play the Ravens. Whew, which was a given anyway. I have to watch the Bears play the Cowboys, and I don't know who the Vikings are playing, but we're going to have to watch all of those and do all of them. So please, please, please go and support your boy on Motor City Cats. If you are not a member or if you are not a subscriber of the Motor City Cats podcast, it don't take but a second. Just go on over there right now and just subscribe, because your boy is trying to get back up to 1,000 so he can get back monetized. Because if y'all don't know, I had something monetized before last season, and your boy never saw a dime, not a cent, not a penny, not one red cent. Never saw it, because certain people are assholes and they're bad people. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, you should know who I'm talking about. But help me get back to my monetization situation. You know what it is, a hydration situation. Anyway, if you know, you know. Appreciate you guys once again. The Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. We came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you, if you want to win, let Booby spin. Make sure you keep your lines news pragmatic, and we are out. Peace. See you tomorrow.